Sorry about the mess.
Hello, name's Butcher. Billy Butcher. Soups lose hundreds of people each year as collateral damage. Then, that's where I come in. Spank the bastards when they get out of line. I've got the boys back together.
We're the 7 champions of the innocent. Mother...
That was diabolical! Howdy, boys.
Well. About fucking time.
Hello and welcome to Boys Banter, a Who Watches podcast about the Amazon Prime series The Boys. I'm Travis Fishburne.
I'm Alex Brunel.
And I'm Dustin Meadows.
And that's our delay.
And this week, we are going to be covering Season 2, Episode 4, Nothing Like It in the World. So now we were officially halfway through this season. It took us a short time to get there because of the boost at the beginning. But this episode, I felt like it was pretty good. It's a nice, I don't want to say standalone, but it felt very contained. I really liked that aspect of it. What did you think of it, Alex?
I liked it on the whole. I don't think it needed to be 69 minutes long. This episode was almost as long as A Nightmare Before Christmas, a movie. But I thought that it could have been condensed. I thought it was a bit long-winded in a lot of the character stuff. Like I'm all for when a show that's like pow 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 action all the time takes a little bit of a breather and just does like a character work episode. I'm always down for that, especially when it's good character work, which I think it generally was here. But I just felt like, you know, both in the writing and in the editing, like we could have lost 9 minutes out of this. That was one of my things, but I liked it overall. I always dig it. I personally I was very bored at 7:30 last Thursday, and wondered to myself, hey, I wonder if for some reason the new episode is streaming. And it was 7:30 p.m. in California last Thursday.
Awesome. So look for new episodes on Thursday nights.
Yeah, especially here on the West Coast.
So Dustin, how did you feel about the episode?
I dug it. I'm inclined to agree with Alex. They probably could have trimmed a few minutes off of it for sure. I was real curious rolling into it because Nothing Like It in the World is Mother's Milk's standalone issue in the series where we find out his origin. It's a lot more involved. So I'm glad that they tied that and made that connection here. Yeah, it was really cool. They've obviously made some huge changes with his character in the show. But the stuff about his dad and Vought and all of that, they kind of kept the same. So it was really cool getting that background into MM and why he joined up, which I imagine we'll eventually see why everyone, well, at this point, we really only have to find out why Frenchie's in the boys. So,
True.
But yeah, it was cool getting that insight into MM.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was very good. Yeah, and then we got a nice little road trip. We get some more stuff going on with Homelander. At home.
Yeah, that was creepy as fuck.
Yeah, which we can get into right now.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Spoilers ahead, y'all.
Yes.
Yeah.
The episode opens with like this interview, this person addressing the camera, and she's talking about how communication is everything in a relationship and how her and her fiance realized that they were on different pages as far as kids are concerned the night before the wedding. And then it got called off, and it took me a while after this scene to forget about it because I'm like, what's that all about?
Yeah.
And then we get more sprinkles of it throughout, but then after that,
I was real curious with this because as soon as it opened, the first thing I thought was like, oh, these are like dating videos. These are like personal ads. So like, what is the context here? And I was racking my brain, like every time they cut back to one, I was like, where are they shooting these? Who's watching this? Like, I was real curious.
Yeah.
Yeah, once the reveal happened, which we'll get to when we get to, but like, I was like, oh, yeah, that should have been obvious.
Yeah, that tracks. That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so used to this show not going the obvious route
Sure.
that I was expecting some big thing, and then I was like, no, it's what you probably should have thought it was the first time you saw it.
And then we cut to Frenchie. He's enjoying some nose candy, and then completely botches an attempt to comfort Kamiko, who we see
Where
her.
did he even appear from in that scene? In the crowd scene, doesn't he just appear out of kind of fucking nowhere?
Oh, that one?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, later he just appears out of thin air.
Oh, right, the earlier scene, right? The table.
Mhm.
Yes, the unfortunate
first time
cringy
was-
moment under the table. Yeah.
Reverted back to her former self, hiding
Yeah,
at the table watching TV.
the moments. Yeah, this is one of the moments in this episode I wasn't crazy about. Just because they never sexualize Frenchie and Kamiko's relationship in the comics. It's very innocent. It's very wholesome. It's very like guardian, like parent child dynamic between the two of them. And yeah, I like as soon as he did, I was like, I'm not comfortable with this. And also, she's gonna choke his ass, which she was well within her rights to do.
Yeah, that's how I felt as soon as it happened. I was just like, oh, the show is doing such a good job of not doing this. Why are we doing this now?
Yeah, it's one of the first big missteps I feel like they've made.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I agree. I never looked at Frenchie and Kamiko.
Maybe they'll recover from it.
Yeah. And then we cut to Homelander, and he's watching the news as Stormfront gets all the good publicity, and she's slamming Vought's actions and inactions. And then he finally retires to a nice cabin in the woods, where we find out that Madeline Stillwell is still alive, and she treats him to a nice glass of milk.
Oh my god. I was anytime and this sucks for me because I drink milk like on a daily basis because I really enjoy milk. And now I'm watching this show where milk is like heavily sexualized, and I'm just like, why must I associate these two things now? Why must I associate this disgusting superhero with a beverage that I enjoy recreationally? So
yeah, the show is trying to force you to cut out dairy, Alex.
I'm not down with it. No, not down. I don't want a Fresca either. Okay.
No.
Would you like a Fresca?
Yeah, that like I was completely expecting him to wake up from a dream, and then when it didn't happen, I'm like, what's going on?
Same. That was my first thought.
Yeah. But then we see Butcher. He meets Mallory at the side of the apartment complex.
Wait, but it's revealed who that is in that scene, though, no? Or is
later.
It's
yeah,
later?
It's in the
But-
scene.
Because that's what I get for watching it when I'm stoned on a Thursday night.
Well, because I initially thought it was a dream sequence, but then they cut back to it. I was like, that's not how dreams work.
True.
Yeah, that was the moment where I was like, okay, this isn't a dream sequence. Something else is going on.
This is an Inception. Yeah, then Butcher meets Mallory at the side of the apartment complex, and she gives him a lead on an old soup named Liberty, as well as the info on how to find Rebecca. So I thought that was a neat scene. She has this dream that she's at Carnegie Hall with all the super victims just staring at her.
Yeah, that was some nice writerly bullshit that she got to say. I liked
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And then we cut back to Homelander and Stillwell.
Okay.
And they're enjoying a nice romantic evening watching Taxi Driver as he vents to her.
Where Homelander
Yep.
is identifying with the wrong character in that movie.
Yep.
And then she suggests that it may be time to start pulling some weeds out of the seven. And then it's revealed that she's actually doppelganger.
Yeah.
Which when that happened, I'm like, oh, it makes perfect sense, because half the time in any kind of show or film where a character dies and comes back, you're just waiting for like the very convoluted, how did they pull this off? But as soon
Right.
as they showed him, I'm like, wow, that really fits in this world.
It does, especially for
Yeah,
how messed up Homelander is. Sorry, go ahead, Dustin.
No, so the thing that I immediately thought of with that reveal is the scene in X-Men 2 where Mystique keeps transforming into other people to try and sleep with Wolverine.
Yeah.
And all I could think was like, what a great idea for a little scene that they failed to really explore in any meaningful way.
Yeah.
And like seeing it in this, I was like, how is this not like a trope more often in comic books where it's like, oh, you're upset about your dead wife? Here, let me look exactly like her and do whatever you want her to do.
Well, I feel like also the circumstances here are very specific in that, like, Doppelganger's only doing that under the threat of death from Homelander, basically.
Oh, for sure.
Like, I don't know, like, are there any shape-shifting buddies who are just like, oh, yeah, dude, no, I know you're having a hard time. I'll just come and shape-shift into your dead wife for a night just to comfort you, like a good bro.
Yeah, it's no big deal. We can do what we want.
Well, like I said, I mean, they hit that idea literally in the second X-Men movie. We've got like 6 or 7 more since, most of which featured Mystique, and at no point where they're just like, oh man, we could really have like a heartbreaking story or twist or reveal with one of the characters if we did something with this. And then it's like, what if we made Wolverine but dumb? So,
yeah. Yep, pretty much.
what if we took away everything fun about Deadpool instead? So it's a unique angle that like I said, I thought of it immediately and I was like, man, there are so many like little nuggets of really great ideas in almost all of the X-Men movies, even the bad ones. And if they could have just like explored those, like I'll take a movie where Magneto hunts Nazis for the whole time. Give me that movie. That's an amazing movie.
Yeah.
But it's just 5 minutes and then it's like, here, what if we did this boring stuff instead?
Yeah. Can you imagine in like one of the Deadpool movies, Hugh Jackman shows up as Wolverine and then it's revealed that he's actually just Mystique or a shapeshifter?
Yeah.
Their way to work him in.
I'm for it.
And then Butcher is heading off to save Becca, and he leaves Mother's Milk in charge and gives him the task of tracking down Liberty. And he doesn't want to say goodbye to Huey because he's going to get snot and tears all over my jacket.
Yeah. He just leaves him to be the chaperone. I mean, Mother's Milk is just chaperoning this entire episode.
Oh, for sure. That's all he's doing.
Yeah. Which is great because he even says later on, "It's like I'm not your chaperone," but no, you kind of
like you totally are, dude.
Episode.
Yeah, that's all you are this episode.
Sorry, dude.
Yep.
And
you're the cool uncle.
Yeah.
He is cool.
And then Homelander and Starlight share some time in an elevator in which Homelander nearly kills her and accuses her of being in cahoots with Huey. And then she tells him that what Huey did convinces him that she's not with Huey and that she's not lying about it.
Because she technically wasn't and technically wasn't lying.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a real dark moment.
Mm-hmm. He immediately goes in and takes the gloves off.
Yeah, what is the deal with the taking the gloves off?
Yeah, which I thought was an interesting parallel. But so the first time he took the gloves off was when he walked in on Maeve making the phone call.
Right.
Earlier this season. And then like he even takes her hand. So there's like that human contact aspect. And then he took them off to basically murder, or with the intention of committing murder.
Yeah.
So I mean, so to me it says, oh, they're just two sides of the same coin because this guy's a fucking sociopath.
Oh, interesting. I like that read.
Yeah.
But this is the 2 times that we've seen him take his gloves off. One was literally because he clearly still has very strong feelings, or at least jealousy tied to Maeve. And then also, if he's going to murder someone with his bare hands, he's going to murder someone with his bare hands.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. He doesn't want to get blood all over those nice things.
That's got to be part of it, too.
Yeah, the way he was going to kill her was he's going to shove his hand in her abdomen.
Yeah, like, and is that...
Yeah,
that's not a thing...
Jesus.
That's not a thing that we've seen before. Is it him, like, just, like...
Not from him,
doing
no.
that? Okay.
I'm trying to think like what character from like other comics have we seen do that?
Well, so in the boys, when like Huey actually kills Blarney Cock, kind of similar, like literally punches through his chest.
Yeah, that's right.
So I mean, I feel like that's more of a Friday the 13th thing, punching through somebody.
Yeah.
But
Oh, I know what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of like speedsters in the Flash, like vibrating their hands and like putting them through people.
oh yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then we cut to a lady. Her name is Anika. She's eating an Almond Joy, and then Black Noir shows up and prompts her to help him find Billy Butcher, in a very delightfully awkward scene.
Yeah. I like this scene.
Black
I like
Noir's so fucking creepy.
we don't know, is it so Dustin, would I be correct in assuming that like that's a thing in the comic books, like we just don't really know anything about Black Noir, or do we eventually?
Not until the very end of the run.
Okay,
you
so that
learn it
was
by
one of
the
those-
end of it.
But that was one of those things where it's just like it's not important, and we'll just answer the question at the end just to like satisfy people.
Exactly, and that's one of the things where genuinely, I don't know if they're going to go the route they do in the comics,
Sure.
because at this point, at least from what we've seen, there's no narrative reason to do it. Whereas in the comics, there's like Homelander's rampage is very closely tied to that part of the story, but this we've not really seen any reason for Black Noir outside of just him being there.
Yeah.
Right.
Would you like an Almond Joy?
No one would like an Almond Joy.
This episode is sponsored by Almond Joy.
It's funny in just like refreshing my memory about the episode by reading a handful of recaps online. Very good. Two of the reviewers, like final thoughts. Two of them address your complaints to Spectrum Internet in Studio City, California, which has been dog shit service for weeks. But it also, I'm sure, has a lot to do with the fact that half the fucking state's on fire. So, so sorry about that. Sorry, Stina. I hope you come back. Fuck.
Yeah. Spectrum puts their D in your face. You just say,
Pippi Longstocking would bite a D. Damn sure.
God, that's annoying. We had a viewer at least, and now we don't. And I don't remember what we were talking about anymore. And what? Man.
I think we were just talking about Black Noir and Almond Joys. That one scene.
Yep.
Right. Fuck Almond Joy.
That's where we were.
But I also wanted to say that.
Hard disagree.
Well, that's your opinion.
Mild disagree.
Mild
I'm not going to die
disagree.
on the Almond Joy hill.
Yeah, I mean,
But
like,
I do enjoy them.
can we agree that Butterfingers are a superior candy bar?
Well, of course.
Okay, great. Then I think we're all fine.
Most candy bars are superior to Almond Joys.
Good.
Yeah.
Then I think we're still friends.
The only thing
we're
that's
still in
float is
agreement.
mounds.
Yeah, mounds. Spoonow, if it's upside down. Just turn the Mounds logo upside down and it says Spoonow, and it's very weird. My friend Stina made a good point about Homelander and the taking off of the gloves thing. He seemed disgusted when he got his hands covered in blood when he killed that guy by sticking his hands into his chest and stopping his heart in the first season. So he's probably just trying not to get his suit all fucked up because he was grossed out by it the first time he did it, or the first time that we saw him do it.
That's a solid point.
That's a good point, Stina. Thank you.
Thank you.
A toast.
Yeah, so we can move on.
Yeah, move on. Sorry,
And,
sorry. Spectrum Internet, suck a D.
Pippi Longstocking would bite a D.
Spectrum's D.
Damn sure.
Bite Spectrum's D. All right. Moving
And then
on.
finish it off with an Almond Joy.
Would you like an Almond Joy?
Starlight and Huey then meet in the park, and Starlight is concerned that things aren't getting better, and Huey tries to assure her that they just need more time. Then he gets a call from Mother's Milk, and then they both decide to try to talk Mother's Milk into letting her go on this secret mission in North Carolina.
Yeah, he reluctantly goes for it.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't want to do that either.
No, with her having a tracker on it, like the entire time, I'm like, wow, this. I kept expecting something terrible to happen.
That's bold. I mean, like it's one thing to say, it's one thing to be able to just like write. I mean, maybe it's not even. I don't know what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is her idea of like, yeah, I'll just go tell him I'm visiting my cousin that lives in that area. It's like, what? Like they don't like send a drone to track you or like make
Follow up
sure.
on that cousin,
Like
or-
there's like you ever see that show Person of Interest where like literally anybody can be called up on surveillance at any point in time.
Mhm. Yeah.
Vought would have that. Vought does have that.
And I meant to bring this up in the previous scene where Black Noir is prompting Anika to find Butcher, which it seemed like they weren't doing, or they weren't putting all their resources into that.
Yeah, it seemed like they were putting one intern on it.
Yeah, and she was like, I guess I'll start working on that right now. And I'm like, what?
Like, what else are you doing?
Yeah, like they should be really doing that.
So yeah, I mean that's just like
my thoughts.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, go.
I was gonna say I took that as I think Vaught isn't focusing on the boys as the biggest threat. It seems like they're still trying to do damage control from the Compound V leak, and that seems to be what they're most concerned with, is like trying to sell United Front. Like even with Edgar going to the 7 in the last episode and trying to get them to make appearances and address it and everything. So that seems like that's what corporate's focused on, which is probably what they've got people like Anika dealing with too, is like watching for shit like that, whether or not they're trending on Twitter and all that.
Sure.
Yeah, it makes sense. And then we see A-Train, and he runs into his old rival Shockwave, and then gets news that he's out of the 7. Shockwave's in.
This is a great scene.
Yeah. Homelander calls him out and tells him he's probably not even cracking the top 20 anymore because of his heart issues.
Yeah, I mean, like the Anthony Starr, right? Anthony Starr,
Yes.
this guy's name.
Like Anthony Daniels.
Right. Him in this scene is just great. It's like, it's nothing personal. We'll always be friends. I hold you in very high regard, etc.
What a smarmy read. And it's so good.
It's really, really good.
It's like every time we talk, someone's like, you're such a piece of shit. Like he's King Joffrey if Joffrey had any charisma at all.
Yeah. Yeah, he's Joffrey with some superpowers.
Yeah, well, because like Joffrey, everybody hates, but like Homelander genuinely has moments where he is charming.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, granted, we don't go for it because we fucking know better.
Right.
But people in this show buy it.
Yeah, if we didn't know better, we would totally buy it. I mean,
exactly.
Like, yeah.
He's a Hitchcock villain. He's so charming.
Yeah. I love when Ashley's breaking the news to him. Or actually, she tries to deflect him because she's telling him that Shockwave is there for Vought for Tots, in which they're like helping obese children. And then A-Train just screams, I fucking love fat kids. Use me.
Yeah. Oh, man. This reminds me of another thing she brings up is the series coming to Vought Plus.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Vought Plus was
like,
a good jab.
Yeah, I love that they're like just leaning into, because like again they do it in the comics, but the extent that they're doing it in the show, like really is putting the corporation on equal footing with just how awful their product is too.
Yeah,
and I fucking love it.
And Amazon's not going to turn down a chance to like slag off Disney in a backhanded kind of a way either.
Yeah, it's
Until the episode where
interesting.
Homelander kills Jeff Bezos anyway.
Yeah, because they're doing this and they're poking at another major corporation. Meanwhile, they're one of the biggest corporations on Earth.
Yeah.
And they could have easily said like Vought Prime.
Right. Yeah. The other thing, what was the fat kids? Was it toddler obesity?
Oh, yeah,
they're talking
right.
about it. It's
Yeah,
like
toddler obesity.
it's like some
Apparently toddlers are fat.
yeah, it's like some very upsetting like new obesity epidemic in an even younger demographic that I remember just reacting to be like, wait a second, toddler obesity now? That's fucked up. And I'm also reminded we should talk about it like at the end of the episode because it's not to do with this episode. But I read an interview with Eric Kripke where he talked about the one thing that Amazon ever made him cut from the show. He said like Amazon only ever made him cut one thing. It was back in the first season.
Oh,
it's
does it
fucking
have to do
weird.
with dolphins?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get into it. But I want to remember that because he is getting away with all this other shit that he's doing in the show.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm remembering now reading about the one thing that they wouldn't let him get away with. But we'll talk about it at the end.
Oh, stay tuned, everybody. And then we get Mother's Milk, Huey, and Starlight on the road. Starlight puts on some Billy Joel and
Hell
starts.
yeah, she does.
Yeah,
Of course
and
she
then
does.
Huey gets just a raging boner as they sing along.
Here's my only grievance with this scene. How did Huey know which verse to come in on?
That's a good question.
Because the song comes in cold on a chorus. They don't know which chorus it is.
Mm-hmm.
But then, bam, he's like, oh, we're on the third verse. I know that somehow.
Maybe he just took a chance.
Maybe. Don't get me wrong. It doesn't ruin it. It just, I absolutely, they started singing on the verse, and I was like, how could you have known that? How could, like, there's no different drum fill. There's literally nothing to cue you in that this is the verse that it is. But you knew to come in on Joe DiMaggio or whichever thing it was. But a great scene, regardless.
Yeah, no, great scene.
More Billy Joel.
Perhaps in before Huey's life went to total garbage after A Train exploded his girlfriend, that he frequented karaoke nights and just like, he's on that shit.
But there's nothing that there really is. There's nothing that differentiates it from any other verse in the song.
True. No, very very true.
There's some other little Easter eggs in this scene. They pass a billboard that says that Baby You Abort might be super.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Yeah, that sign was so good.
Yeah, now that the Compound V is,
Right. And then the Homelander with the Confederate flag cape painted on the side of the barn.
I almost made the art
great
for this
touch.
episode, and I'm like, I don't want to send the wrong idea.
Yeah, let's not.
Yeah,
I thought it was such a good image.
Yeah, but like again, just those little touches, like not even world building, reminding us that we're in the South now.
Right.
Mhm.
Like, which because I've spent a lot of time driving around the South the last couple of years, and
It's like
that imagery tracks.
Yeah, it do.
South and Indiana.
Yeah.
Even portions of Ohio.
Fuck Ohio.
Yeah, Southern Ohio, absolutely.
Yeah, you don't have to go far.
Well, you drive far enough to one side of Columbus and you can see it too.
Fuck
So
Ohio.
Yeah, and then we cut back to the interview. We see another interview where another girl is talking about how if you love somebody, you should never let them go.
This girl is written to be insane. This girl scared me.
Yep.
Yeah.
there's only one of the girls that I distinctly remember, but we have not gotten to her yet.
I think I know the one you're talking about because she's the one I laughed at the most, probably.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah, I fucking lost it during that part.
Let's continue.
Yeah, and then we see Billy sneaking into the Vought secret compound where Becca is being kept. And we just get a quick scene of that before we see Frenchie meeting up with his old pal Cherie, and they have an interaction, and
They bang.
he opens up, about Kamiko. She tells him that he's trying to make up for all the children that Lamplighter burned, and tells him to just let her grieve.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good scene.
I really figured we would have seen Lamplighter stuff by now.
Yeah, I mean, it isn't. I don't know if it's a spoiler, but we do know we are going to be seeing Lamplighter later this season.
All right, good.
Cool.
Sorry, Alex, you were saying something.
I don't know. It was nice to have some little bit of a character development with Frenchie, who so far in this season, I don't know, hasn't felt like he's actually had much to do.
Yeah, it seems like the only thing he does is just chase Kamiko around.
Yeah, he just
Frenchie's a great character. Like, and he's a fucking madman in the comics, but he's also one of the most human characters in the comic too.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, up until that moment with Kamiko earlier in this episode, he was staying pretty consistently.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
and then Starlight watches Mother's Milk exhibit some meticulous obsessive compulsive behavior at a diner that they're at. And then they share stories about how their fathers would bond with them and indulge in sugary treats as they were kids. And then outside, they witness a traffic incident, and Starlight has to be withheld from going and helping out.
Yeah. The scene in the diner is really nice. That's a really good character scene between Starlight and MM.
Yeah.
It's really well performed on both parts, and it humanizes Starlight to Mother's Milk quite a bit, I think. And
I think that's important.
Yeah, there's groundwork laid there for her continued cooperation and integration into their side, basically.
Mm-hmm. I was a little distracted and confused because I kept being like, is this at night? Why are they drinking coffee and donuts? Why shouldn't this be like a morning scene? But no, yeah, it is. It's clearly at night.
Yeah, I thought it was day when they were in there, and then they left, and yeah. TV.
And then also when the truck hits the car and Starlight is so adamant about helping, I'm like, what are you gonna do? Like, it's already happened.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought perhaps a more compelling situation might have been if somebody came in and tried robbing the diner and they had to just withhold her from intervening there,
from stopping violence and crime.
I thought that too for a second. I think it was more about just further demonstrating how genuinely committed to helping people she is, to the point where, like, even where she can't really do anything at this point that nobody else can do, like, she still wants to help. And
right.
And I think it's just kind of another thing around. Is like, she's one of the good guys. Like, she genuinely, even though her mom manipulated her into this life, like, she is genuinely a caring, kind, to the point where, like any number of things. Like, if a bus was dangling over a cliff or something, that'd be something where maybe she could make a difference. But the damage is done. So
right.
I honestly, I was half expecting another superhero, or maybe even one of the seven, to show up.
Oh yeah.
But then I, of course, thought, I was like, why would they show up in the Carolinas when that doesn't make any fucking sense.
Why would anyone just
But I kind of thought, I was like, maybe she's gonna get recognized or something, or
But no, none of that.
I'm always very surprised. I mean, like, I know she just looks like a normal blonde girl otherwise, but I'm always surprised when she's just, like, out and about and people don't recognize her, because her face looks exactly the same. She's not trying to Clark Kent herself, like, at all when she's out in the world just dressed in a hoodie.
No domino mask or anything like that.
I know. With the exception of Black Noir, everybody else is just, they could be anybody.
Yeah. I don't know.
And then we get a Butcher. He's hiding inside Becca's car, and then she sneaks him off and explains that it isn't safe, and that she told Homelander that if he hurts Billy, she would kill herself in front of her son, and then tell him that her father did it to her. And then they make a plan to escape in a garbage truck.
Yeah, garbage truck.
One that doesn't have a garbage smasher in it.
Right, very specific garbage truck. Probably because they go through their trash.
Yeah.
Oh, that's upsetting.
This comes up later.
Yes, it does.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
I was gonna say, so it comes up later, but I really do like the first time she mentions Ryan. You really do see like Butcher kind of thrown for a curveball for maybe only the second time in the entire series. The first being, of course, when he found out she was still alive. But him, like, this whole time, he's been operating under the assumption that, like, the kid wasn't part of the equation, even after he saw him.
Right.
He's just like, I'm just going to go in there, get my wife, and get out.
Right.
And it just hasn't dawned on him that, like, maybe she's not on board with abandoning her child.
Perhaps.
She doesn't have any connection with him, right?
She hasn't spent really that much time with him.
Yeah, he expresses concern for Ryan's abilities, which confirms he saw the his eyes lighting up red.
Yeah, because he mentions that.
Mm-hmm. She tries to assure him that she's not raising him like that, but you can't stop that kind of thing from happening, Becca. It's it's a natural thing. He's gonna exhibit those powers one way or another. So
yeah. But well, and that's the thing too, is like, I know I mentioned it last week on our first episode. Like, Butcher in the comics is very much a complete bastard, and we're kind of getting a glimpse of. We've been getting glimpses of that, but at this point, like, Starlight has actively saved the group, or at least everyone but Butcher, and has shown that she can be a valuable ally to them, and he's still suspicious of her, all because of Homelander, which makes sense that he absolutely has a grudge with them, but it's to the point where he just assumes the worst about every single one of them, and that's what's driven him all these years, and he's still holding on to all that anger, which of course they talk about a little later on.
Right.
wow. And in the comic, I know, like, he just like hates all soups.
Yeah.
And I believe it's Huey might bring up, like, he concerned, like, well, what about some of them that are actually like good-natured and good-hearted and are in it for the right reasons? And like Butcher, I think, just says like, fuck them. He doesn't care.
Yeah. Well, and we see in the comics, like, it's not a lot of them, but there are some of them that are genuinely good and only want to help and are not like depraved and terrible people the way that like the Seven and a lot of the big name teams are. And even after seeing that countless times, Butcher still just says, nah, they're all a bunch of cunts.
And yeah, and then next scene we get Starlight and Huey. They share a moment at the vending machine, and then Andy explains that living in the tower with Homelander is like living with a loaded gun in her face.
Yeah.
Then the two of them enjoy more than candy back in Starlight's room.
Yes.
Like an Almond Joy.
As soon as he saw that text, it's like, I'm having a candy bar dilemma or whatever. It's like, well, that's a booty call if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, no girl has ever no one's ever texting
then,
anyone about a candy bar unless they're trying to get laid. Either way, in either direction.
Yeah, come help me choose what candy bar I should get out of this machine. And then, of course, they have the conversation where she reveals her 3 candy bars, which are Almond Joy, Charleston Chew, and Bit of Honey. Like, I like Almond Joy, but top 3, fuck you. Come on.
That whole thing was written into the episode to be the talking point of this episode.
Yeah,
Swear to God.
for sure.
This is
She like an Almond Joy.
But it really is. It's like 2 of the worst candy bars you can pick.
Yeah.
I don't even know how Bit of Honey qualifies.
Yeah, what is Bit of Honey? Let's not dwell on Bit of Honey. I don't even want to know what Bit of
They're
Honey
usually
is.
smaller. You've probably seen them in your Halloween candy as a kid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Probably.
You're going to sit here and talk about candy and act like paydays don't exist? Get out of here, Starlight.
And then also, I just want to call out also in the vending machine, which was pretty prominent in one shot, was a box of snow caps, which I have never seen like outside of a movie theater, let alone
Yeah.
a vending machine.
Yeah. Good point.
And the only time I've seen them outside of movie theaters are specifically in stores where they sell them in boxes like you would buy at the movie theater.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird.
And then we cut to another interview, and I think this is the one you're talking about,
Yeah.
where girl explains that her boyfriend was obsessed with Ed Sheeran and then made her get a tattoo of him with him and then left her.
I will say this. I have some very dumb tattoos on my body. Like, I have a dolphin drinking a beer and smoking a cigarette wearing sunglasses. That's a thing that's on my body forever.
Yeah, but that says hang loose.
Yeah, this animal knows how to have a good time.
Fuck yeah.
I would never. I am hard pressed to think of anyone I like so much that I would get their face tattooed on me. Their band's logo, absolutely. Like, I've got a band logo tattooed on my wrist, but like
To get a portrait.
Yeah, maybe Roy Orbison, just because that's funny to me, because Henry Winkler had it in The Waterboy. But but outside of that, like, I'm not gonna get Joey Ramone tattooed on my bicep.
You should though.
Like, I'm not gonna.
No, get Dee Dee.
I mean,
Get Dee Dee.
If I get a Ramones tattoo, it will just be the punk rock mouse from Rock and Roll High School.
No, you know what it is? It's on one hand on the knuckles, Dee Dee, D-E-D-E, and then the other one is 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what your that's what your knuckles say now.
DD King or no deal. But God, and that tattoo is so fucking ridiculous.
It's really hideous
too. Like,
Yeah.
like that's all black ink. There's no way that tattoo, for the size and the detail, didn't cost at least $200.
It's crazy. I mean, I don't know. This speaks to her. Like, who agrees to this?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah,
I think the
that's-
kind of woman that gets interviewed next agrees with that also.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've gotten tattoos with romantic partners, never matching tattoos. Like, we just have gone at the same time and gotten our own tattoos.
Sure.
Like, at no point was this like, hey, we should get matching Beatles tattoos. I was like, I'm not gonna do that. It's also weird to me because the last 2 years, there's been a surge of Ed Sheeran just randomly popping up in pop culture.
Mm-hmm.
Because first he was in an episode, he was in the episode of Game of Thrones. Then he was a top-billed character in Yesterday, which was probably the only part of the movie I didn't really care for.
Oh, he was also in Bridget Jones's Baby.
There was a third Bridget Jones movie?
Yeah. And that was my first time actually seeing him. I had no idea what he had looked like. And then it was revealed, like, this is Ed Sheeran. I'm like, this is that guy that sings on the radio? Like, that's what he looks like?
Yeah. He basically looks like the dude from Fall Out Boy if he lost all the dumb pork pie hats.
Mm-hmm.
And
It looks like a hobbit.
yeah. And then for some reason, his face pops up in The Boys.
Yes.
So I'm sure it's all coincidental. I don't think there's an Ed Sheeran conspiracy, but it's very bizarre that it's him popping up all over.
I just want to add one little note on our Ed Sheeran podcast here, which is that I don't care about this dude one way or the other. I'm pretty sure I've never seen him in an acting capacity. I'm pretty sure I've never heard an Ed Sheeran song. But I do know a guy that shot a music video for him, and apparently he is a nice dude. So there's that.
He seems like a nice dude, just not a great actor.
Yeah, no, I'm not qualifying him as anything except I heard he's a nice dude.
Like, I'd have tea and crumpets with him or whatever they do. Sure.
All right, moving on. The Ed Sheeran podcast.
And then Butcher and Becca just forego the candy and enjoy an intimate moment without it. And then she explains that she's been here since Ryan was born. And then he brings her up to speed on what he's been up to. And then like he apologizes to her for the shithole that she's living in and promises he's gonna make it up to her, which Sarah and I had the same reaction watching this, which is like, shouldn't she be saying this to him?
Yeah. Yeah. This butcher and stuff, I mean, like, and I guess we'll wrap it up in the next scene that we talk about them, but like it all seems like this stuff was all good. The performances were good. I think that these scenes in particular were a bit too long.
Mm-hmm.
But it all seems like so kind of perfunctory. It's just like, okay, these are the conversations we knew that they had to have like immediately. Like this subplot feels like it's like just checking off boxes on like a plot beats sheet that they have for the season or something, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's part of me that feels like eventually, maybe even this season, Butcher's going to accept the kid and get them out of there, but then they're going to fucking kill Becca off.
Ooh.
They're gonna fridge her. Well, I say that solely because Eric Kripke, who's the showrunner for Supernatural is notorious for killing women off to advance the plot. So that's where my concern for that comes. I hope that's not the case, because I think the story is way more interesting with her in it.
Sure.
But that is absolutely a potential concern at the back of my mind where they might go story-wise.
Makes sense.
Yeah. They could both just like climb on top of Ryan and like ride out on his back if he learns to fly.
Yeah, can't they just like put him in like an oversized baby Bjorn or something and then just make him fly and just
Well, I guess they could put themselves in a Bjorn and like have him.
Yeah.
But you know, but he
can
can just attach
leashes on him.
He can't just attach like a jetpack? That would be great. Bio jetpack, and it's a super toddler.
Very cool.
And then Homelander and Maeve are on a talk show called In Depth. And during the interview, Homelander just publicly outs Maeve on TV.
Oh, yeah.
Don't neglect to mention that this is an interview with TV's Maria Menounos.
Oh, no, I did not know that.
Spoofing herself.
Yep.
Wow.
In a weird career that did you guys weird aside about Maria Menounos, did you guys in high school have well, we had like our daily video announcements that were produced in-house, you know, like the AV nerds in the AV room doing the video announcements, but then it was followed by this like packaged 7-minute news show for kids that we would get.
Are you talking about Channel 1?
Was it Channel 1? Was that what it was called?
That's what we had. And it sounds very similar to what
that might
you're
have been it, but
describing.
she was a host of that. And then the next thing I saw her doing was like introducing commercials before movies. And then she was on Entertainment Tonight. And it was like, oh, Maria Menounos. That's all.
Suck it, Mario Lopez.
I agree with that.
I'm gonna suck your cock so fucking hard.
Well, that's not happening yet. But yeah, that whole interview was just like so interesting. The hashtag heroes so white.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, it was so good.
That was good.
And then Homelander's like, we have black friends.
Yeah. Well, that was so funny, too. Like, there's no way they could have known. Because that also coincides with the Oscars, the Best Picture requirements that they just announced in the last week, too.
Yeah.
For diversity in the cast and crew, which I thought was clearly just a matter of brilliant timing. But, yeah. And the scene it's scary because, first of all, now we know that Homelander absolutely knows about Elena. And it's also incredibly shitty because Homelander outs Maeve publicly.
Yeah, that was heavy.
Which is that's a huge, like, fucking milestone. That's a huge process for LGBT people to deal with on their own terms. And he just is like, I'm just going to tell everyone and take that agency away from you because I'm a piece of shit. So we already know he sucks, but now we also know that he's definitely not woke either. So
No. He's trying to compete with Stormfront and get all the attention.
It's
but
true.
see, that doesn't work because they're in the backstage area. He looks up and he sees that Stormfront is on TV calling out Vought's Saving America ads. And then we cut live to the protests that she's speaking at, and we see Kamiko just starting to approach the stage in an attempt to go after her before she's stopped by Frenchie.
Mm-hmm. I really like this scene because even though it, like, we don't see it, but earlier we saw Homelander watching Taxi Driver, and during this scene I thought of the moment in Taxi Driver where Travis Bickle shows up to the rally and tries to take out the guy running for, what is it, mayor, governor, whatever, but then he ends up like getting scared and running off after he gets spotted. That I definitely thought of that during this scene. And then, of course, by the time we got to the end of the episode, it's like, okay, so they showed us the wrong part of Taxi Driver to make, because, like, I thought the last couple minutes were just going to be, like, this huge, bloody mess, like the end of Taxi Driver. And it's like, I mean, it's bloody, but not Taxi Driver bloody. Yeah. So.
No. Yeah, Kamiko did not have any guns hidden up her sleeve.
Nope. No mohawk.
No. Yeah, I guess Stormfront had closer Travis Bickle hair than she did.
Yeah, that little side cut.
And then we go to Mother's Milk and Huey. They go asking for liberty at the address given to them by Mallory. And then they meet a woman named Valerie who shares her story about witnessing her brother Myron, a black man, being murdered by a white superhero named Liberty in the 70s. And then she explains just how pointless it was for her family to just stand up and do anything. And they accepted $2,000 just to stay quiet about it. And then she points out that Stormfront is Liberty.
Gasp. So Stormfront is old.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now. That's kind of all we learn in this episode about her past, right? Is she old?
Yeah.
Well, she confirms it herself.
Right, in the
later.
scene with Homelander.
That was the only thing that I wasn't sure. Like, I knew that this lady said that Stormfront was Liberty, but I was like, but is she though? Because like that seemed like a misdirect. But then Stormfront admitting it herself later was like, okay, no, that adds up then.
Yeah, like Stormfront could be like her daughter that happens to look like her or something.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and because Annie even says something too about them not knowing what the full effects of Compound V are. And at least based on other superhero media, we've seen Wolverine is a great example of superheroes who don't really age normally.
Right.
So that's absolutely in the works, and they've not really addressed any of those characters that display those powers in the show. So it makes sense.
Yeah, it do.
She could be like a direct, she could come directly out of Nazi Germany.
That's true.
Yeah, and I thought of that as soon as they made the connection that she was Liberty. I was like, okay, she's probably like racist, like all the way back to that point, like racist superhero back to World War II, because that's when we find out that they were doing the first experiment.
Yeah, exactly.
Which would be very close in keeping with Stormfront from the comics origins then. So, because he was basically the Nazi version of Captain America in the comics.
Oh wow. And we also get Mother's Milk. He, like you said, he shares his story about his dad going after Vought, and then he fought against them, but they just kept hiring lawyers and kept just expending all of his energy until he had none left.
Yeah.
Sad.
Which the actor who played Mother's Milk, he said in an interview, like it was asked if he thought that his father was killed by Vought directly, and he doesn't even necessarily believe that. He just kind of thinks that, just the whole fight against Vought took his father's life regardless.
Yeah.
But I think it could be like very well implied that Vought killed him because he was pretty young.
in the comics, it is absolutely the stress and the strain of waging the uphill battle against Vought that kills him.
Wow. All right.
Move on.
All right. And then Huey tells Mother's Milk that his dad was a hero. He said that what he had was a disease. Now he has it. He hopes it just doesn't pass it down. Which I think this is very interesting. Like there is some similarities, I think, going on here with I think this show and Watchmen beyond just the superhero stuff. And with where that series ends. Alex, I know you've not watched it yet, but I highly recommend you do.
I know. I know.
So I won't go further into that, but I just thought that was an interesting little parallel. And then we go to Homelander. He's channel surfing all the latest memes. And then
these are great memes.
They're all about Stormfront, and then he goes to confront her, and she tells him that he doesn't need 50 million people to love him, that he just needs 5 million people that are pissed. And that emotion and anger sells. And then she tells him that if he needs help connecting with his audience, that she's there in any way that he might need her.
Yeah, I like this. I like this a lot.
That was an interesting shift.
Yeah, that scene was really cool. And that's what fuels the ending of Homelander in this episode. Is this scene directly. But this is also one of those times where it's like I stopped watching Black Mirror for this same reason, because it was just like I don't need my reality reflected back at me. I'm fucking living it, and it's sad enough like living through it. And then when I see it reflected in media and like in a way that's like, check out this fucked up stuff, and it's just like I know. And that's what that scene felt like a lot to me, where it's just like, yeah, like there's the meme farms that are doing evil, like that are memifying evil and like doing the same stuff, and like that stuff is great. Like I'm really glad that there's a show doing commentary like that, especially on a platform as huge as Amazon and especially as popular as this show is. But at the same time, it makes me bummed out all over again.
And then Butcher, we see him getting shot down by Becca because she knows that he doesn't want Ryan to go with them. And she tells him that when she found out she was pregnant, she went right to Vought because she was scared of what Butcher would do.
Yup.
Yeah.
She left because he unstable.
This scene also confirms to me that, like, she says that she actually was raped by Homelander, which the show, it's been implied all through Butcher that happened, but right. I feel like it's not been confirmed until now, and I was kind of curious what the actual truth would be.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the first time in season 1, when you see the footage of her leaving his office, like, she definitely seems ashamed by it, but you don't know if that's because of the nature of it or because she feels like she did something wrong.
Yeah.
The moment that I think it was confirmed for me happened.
Nice.
It was, but when he makes that big grandstanding lecture about the gift that he gave her, and she gets real angry about it. It's like, what you gave me? I was like, oh no, he absolutely raped her. Like that's kind of the moment for me that it became real obvious that was the way it played out.
Yeah, no, that's a good read into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Billy doesn't want anything to do with Ryan.
Fucking soup freak.
Yeah. That's what he says.
Yeah,
No, I didn't mean it. It's like, no.
You totally meant it. That's very obvious.
Yeah. I'm real curious to see if he just goes full tilt, like the opposite way now, in terms of how aggressive he is, because like everything he's done for the last 8 years has been for this, and now he's found out that person is alive, and now he's been told by that person that she doesn't want him in her life, essentially.
Right. Which is like a convenient way to just remove her back out of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For the time being. I mean, like, this is what I like. Again, all these scenes, I felt like they could have been condensed. That stuff could have been, I don't know. It all just seemed like plot point checklists with the with the Butcher and Becca thing.
I will say I was very surprised that we had this whole him finding her and then it coming to this resolution so quickly.
Yeah.
Because it seemed like that was going to be throughout the whole season. He was going to be trying to figure out where she was. And then no, it's just dropped in his lap.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say I like the stuff between Becca and Butcher this episode. And I feel like it needed to kind of be stretched out because at least for part of that first scene or two between them, like you do feel like they're gonna work it out, they're gonna get out together.
That's true, yeah.
And then the moment she mentions Ryan and you see it's like, oh man, I think she's gonna get cold feet or something's gonna go different or Homelander's gonna show up and kill somebody or something, but he's not walking out of here with her.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we see that after many a Red Bull, Anika has finally helped Black Noir find Butcher, which she finds him like right in the video where he flips it off. He's climbing over the fence. I'm like,
yep.
Why did it take again? With this,
like was there not a motion detector that he set off, or like a pressure alarm, or like something? Like that was baffling to me when he got in there. I'm just like, that his plan to just go there and climb the wall, that just worked.
Yeah.
It just worked.
They had a camera pointing right at him, and it didn't matter.
Right at him.
Well, and that's and that scene too is what makes me think that they might kill Becca off, at least as a retaliatory action, because so far we've seen Black Noir be just kind of weird and menacing, and then also just straight up murder people.
Right.
So I mean, that was also kind of why I was thinking Becca might not make it much longer in the show.
Oh. Interesting. And then we see Huey and Starlight parting ways because she tells them they can't be together again the way they were before. So,
will they? Won't they?
Yep, I think it's pretty definite. It's ended now. We'll never see them together.
This moment was genuinely heartbreaking because I've had it happen.
Yeah.
Where I parted ways with somebody and he's looking after her, she never looks back.
Yeah. Yeah, it's played like, very well. This scene. Yeah.
God damn, I have. Oh boy, I've been in your shoes, Huey. It's not a great feeling, is it, buddy?
Would you like an Almond Joy?
No, an Almond Joy would not help in this instance.
I bet he'd give anything for an Almond Joy if it was with her.
Yes, he would. He would eat a case of Almond Joys if she would agree to spend 5 minutes alone with him, and then he would be...
He'd eat a bit of honey.
More than a bit.
He'd eat a bunch of honey.
A batch of honey, maybe.
I love that he tells her that Almond Joys are what like John Wayne Gacy gave out to kids.
Yeah. Also,
you go ahead.
We kind of glossed over this earlier, but I just remembered it. She mentions his voicemail when they first meet up.
Yeah.
And he does that thing that every stupid guy in every stupid fictional relationship does, where he lies about how much she fucking means to him. I was like, you fucking bonehead. Tell her she's your Billy Joel song or whatever you said. Tell her you meant it, you dummy.
Yeah, I mean, but that's Huey, right? He's just like he's this cowardly man boy who doesn't have that faculty about him, and he can't bring himself to actually just be honest with this woman that he's fallen in love with.
I know, and it's vexing. It's so frustrating.
It is vexing. I am vexed. Huey is vexed. Vexed are we all.
Love's dope, damn it. Huey, you fucking idiot. Tell her you love her.
Yeah.
In the words of Billy Joel, tell her about it.
And then pay Billy Joel for the royalty of quoting the lyrics.
I also love that she tells him, like, can't be together. He's like, oh yeah, definitely not. And then he's like, wait, but why?
Yeah.
That's so real to me.
Yeah.
And then we finally get the resolution to all the interviews. We see one last one, and then it's finally revealed that the interviews we've been watching are part of a vetting process to find the Deep's wife to help clean up his image.
And little known fact, this was actual footage from Tom Cruise's wife dating auditions.
That's where that all
about
that stuff
20 years ago. No, but this is the collective, like, you know, ever becomes a more clear Scientology analog as the show progresses, and it's kind of great.
Next week we're going to see the Deep jumping on a couch.
If this means that the Deep is going to start making a series of action movies, I'm all for it. So, where he does his own stunts, come on, I'm into it.
And then finally we get Homelander coming home to his cabin, where he rejects Doppelganger and tells him that he doesn't need anybody but himself. But then Doppelganger, just the chameleon, the Weasley guy, just trying to please Homelander than he is, becomes Homelander himself and tries to seduce him.
I'm gonna suck your cock so fucking hard.
And then he almost gets away with it. But then Homelander just breaks his neck and reiterates that he doesn't need anybody.
I loved this scene, not in the least reason being I really thought that it was going to wind up with Doppelganger Homelander sucking Homelander's dick. I really thought that was going to happen, and I'm like, all right, I buy that in this show. This is something I haven't seen. I'd be down.
Go with Homelander.
He's such an egomaniac that I was like, yeah, no, he's absolutely the kind of guy that would let himself blow himself.
Because, like, you could see he was entertaining the idea before he...
This is another one of those...
No, go.
Yeah, because he didn't give a shit when Doppelganger was Stillwell.
Right. And this is, like, you know, direct response to Stormfront taunting him earlier. You know, like, you know, you need all this adoration, blah, blah, blah. And then, like, that's so in his head that he, like, he's actually, like, making what might be a significant character change because Stormfront just, like, got this worm in his brain so bad.
Yeah. He let it ruin what could have been a perfectly good blowjob.
Probably would have been a great blowjob.
I probably would have been okay at the worst.
Okay at the worst. I mean,
because so far we've seen that Doppelganger's main purpose is to look like other people and then have sex with them.
Yeah, he seems to be like a prostitute, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only time that Doppelganger hasn't fucked or done something sexual with somebody in a scene was when he pretended to be Stillwell to show the senator from Oklahoma in the first season. And was like, oh yeah, this is how you had sex with someone that's not who you thought you were having sex with.
Yeah, exactly.
So this also on a weird, related note, this made me think of a very specific scene from Club Dread.
Oh, which I just watched 2 nights ago.
Jay Chandrasekhar's wonderful movie. I love it. Underrated criminally. Where Jay Chandrasekhar's character has the weird dream sequence where he basically almost fucks himself.
Yes.
And that's all. As soon as he turned into Homelander, I was like, hell yeah, just like Club Dread.
And Homelander calls it out. It's not even gay if it's with yourself, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's... And again, to the show's credit, my gripes aside, like, yeah, Homelander killing Doppelganger was absolutely a direction this could have gone. It's not the direction I necessarily thought it was going to go, though.
No.
I thought we were going to see some very weird, angry, aggressive blowjob.
Me too.
And that's not the way it went for once. So,
Like
so
Almond Joy.
you heard it here first. Alex and I are very disappointed.
Yeah. I wanted the angry. I wanted computers to be used to make a person have sex with themselves on TV. That's what I wanted.
If we can't make computers do this, then why even have them?
Yeah, totally fucking agree.
You can mash up like Army Hammer and the Social Network and Call Me by Your Name and like do something there.
A Winklevoss three-way.
Then throw the Lone Ranger in there just for poops and laughs.
Oh, that'd be fun with that domino math.
There you go. The other thing too, this is one of the few episodes that doesn't end with a pop song,
Yeah,
or at least score.
I was
It's
really
just
waiting
minutes
for
of the fireplace crackling the whole time, which makes
It's
it
so-
kind of more chilling.
Totally.
Yeah. And I was so expecting we didn't start the fire to come back. And I thought like, oh, what if he just like kills them and then he, the fireplace, he uses it to burn the cabin down and he's walking out of it. And as like the fire is like raging behind him, you hear the song kick in.
Yeah.
But no, way more chilling to just hear an actual fire.
Yeah, I like the ending of the episode a lot. I liked the episode a lot. It's one of those things where it's like, so now we're at the halfway point through the season, right? And we just came off of 3 episodes that were like packed with a lot of stuff, a lot of action, a lot of development, a lot of new ideas introduced, and blah 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 blah. And then like our first week to week episode is like a slow, let's hang out, let's have some conversations, and then we'll figure out what the next step is kind of episode. So like in terms of just like, I realize this is what a show has to do, but just in the way that we've been presented this season, is like, I'm not going to say a screeching halt, but it is a gear shift from what we just came out of.
Oh yeah,
in those
for
first
sure.
3.
From those first 3.
Yeah, and even I didn't get to watch the episode until Saturday because I was out of town, and I was doing my best to stay off social media. But like I saw friends posted like, "Oh, the last like 4 minutes of this week's episode," and I was not that this episode ended on an unsatisfying note, but I was expecting like some Red Wedding level shit or something. And I was like, "Oh, one dead superhero." Mid blowjob. Okay. Not what I was expecting, but all right.
I'm sure it's happened before. We just haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Alex,
Yeah.
you've all been waited on bated breath.
Okay.
What
So-
was cut out of season 1?
Okay, so this is from an Eric Kripke Reddit AMA, and I'm quoting here. There was one scene that Amazon said, "Fuck no, you have to cut. I couldn't quite understand why, considering everything else we have in the show, but Homelander, after being dressed down by Stillwell in episode 2 of season 1, was standing on the edge of one of the Chrysler Building Eagles. He pulled his pants down and started jerking off, mumbling, 'I can do whatever I want,' over and over again until he climaxed all over New York City." He said, "We shot it. Oh my God, Anthony was the best. And Amazon seemed to think it wasn't necessary."
Looks like I'm buying that season 1 Blu-ray when it drops.
And he did go on to say that like Amazon has been super supportive, and that's like the only battle in season 1 that he lost was that scene. But wow, I would have loved to see that scene where
And
just
that's
like a power trippy thing, like I'm gonna jerk off all over the fucking city.
And that's such a perfect moment for that character too. Yeah. Like that, honestly, compared to some of the stuff that we've seen, I'm not going to call it tame, but it's less weird than watching Patton Oswalt voice Gills.
It's weird, less weird than those Gills getting fingered like 2 episodes previously.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. That. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That was an uncomfortable scene.
Mm-hmm. We're just like, oh, I can't even imagine what that feels like, but it seems like it feels very uncomfortable.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
those would be very sensitive.
We should call up Kevin Costner and just ask him what like having gills is like.
Well, he only had. Oh God, he had him on his neck, didn't he?
No,
Yeah.
behind his ears.
Oh yeah.
Oh, is he? Oh.
Yeah.
Ew.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I
behind his
can't
ears.
imagine it feels good no matter where your gills are.
Don't finger the gills, I think is good life advice in general.
Yeah. Don't finger them.
Don't finger the gills. So in the next week, everybody keep your hands off your gills and get ready because we are going to be covering season 2, episode 5. We got to go now. And until then, Alex, where can people find more of you?
Twitter and Instagram at Alex Brunel for, retweets of stuff that I'm pissed off about, basically.
Yes.
Dustin.
And yes, Dustin, where can people find you at?
DustinMeadowsComedy.com and Instagram and Twitter. I'm at Dustin Meadows. I'm not as active as I was, but maybe I'll start being more active again because, well, it's an escape from the waking hellscape. It is our world, so.
True that.
So yeah, and you can find the show on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Search Who Watches. We live stream every Monday night on Facebook and on YouTube and Twitch. And
Help us get to 46,000 viewers on Twitch.
yeah, we need that help, everybody. And yeah, subscribe to us on Apple, on Stitcher, on Spotify, anywhere you get your podcasts. Subscribe, leave reviews. Reach the show at whowatchespodcast@gmail.com. And until next week, we got to go.
Ain't you twits lucky that I showed up, eh?